My FPL Game Week 12 team selection. FPL is finally back and we have a lot to talk about. We have about 9 game weeks coming in the next 45 days. We're going to talk about some of the injuries that we witnessed over the international break. A lot of FPL managers probably have a couple of flag players in their team, and talking about possible transfers, how my team fared in Game Week 11. All this we're going to look at in my Game Week 12 team selection. What's up, guys? FPL.CARNAGE here. Finally, FPL is back. We can look forward to a cluster of games coming right at us, back to back to back. We're not expecting any more international breaks till March, so we can finally focus and play the beautiful game that we all love. Like I said in the beginning of the video, we're going to take a look at how my Game Week 11 team fared before we dive right and look at how my team is lining up going into Game Week 12. A couple of my transfer plans, looking at the injury news that we saw happen over the international break, as well as some of the flag players and what to do with them. Captaincy options as well are going to be spoken about moving forward. So in Game Week 11, my team scored a total of 42 points. I had David Raya in goal. I guess no one saw that coming, but I did hint that Sunderland are a formidable opponent when they play at home. I think they're still yet to lose at home since returning to the Premier League. That saw Raya concede 2 goals and return just 1 point. Jokes on me for my Arsenal defense. Didn't see that coming. No better options on my bench anyways, but saw Gabriel and Raya return 1 point each for me. Munoz returning 6 points as they were held to a 0-0 draw against Brighton. Van de Ven also returning 1 point for me. In my defense, in my midfield, I had Enzo Fernandez who returned a 3 pointer. Also got subbed off towards the ending of the game. I feel like it was just unlucky to have not gotten something in that game. Was the man of the match in the game. A lot of big chances created in that game. Hopefully, he gets something in the next game week. He was also not called up to the Argentine national team due to the injury to his knee, but he should be fit and ready for game week 12. Saka returning 12 points, getting that goal for Arsenal to spark their comeback or supposed comeback in the game against Sunderland. Semedo returning 0 points after missing a penalty in the game against Aston Villa. Honestly, you could just not write that game week. Game week 11 just, well, good riddance to it. We think it's just great to have that game week out of the way. 0 points for Semedo after missing that penalty and conceding 4 to Aston Villa. Ndiaye also returning 3 points in the game against Fulham. Not one of his best games that I've watched so far this season. Great enough return for him. Mateta with 2 points, could have easily gotten an assist and a goal in that game against Brighton. Verbruggen with really great saves in that game to keep Brighton in, and hold them on to a draw, get 1 point in that game. Haaland also returning 8 points as my captain. Could have been a really great haul for him. Could have gotten a brace as well. Did miss a penalty. Really dreadful to see. He has missed 2 penalties now for club and country so far this season. I don't think that's terrific for owners that look forward to when he gets these penalty chances. But yeah, he did manage to get a goal. The first goal actually for Man City in that game against Liverpool, and returned 8 points. Waterman also getting 5 points. Picked up an assist for Newcastle in that 3-1 loss to Brentford over the weekend before the international break. On my bench, I had Dubravka, who also returned 2 points. Reinders didn't get minutes against Liverpool, so he returned 0 points. Goodmanson with a 1 pointer, and Tosin also returning 0 points. So this is what my team looked like in game week 11, returning 42 points. Slight green arrow just to jump by 100k to 2.3. Decent enough positive, at least going into the international break with a green arrow was really nice to see. So let's see what positives we can pick up going into game week 12 and how we can begin to work towards the rank that we're hoping for going into this season. In game week 12, my team is going to be lined up almost similar. I have Raya in goal, who is playing at home to Tottenham. It's a North London derby. If Tottenham play anything like we saw them play in the game against Chelsea, I think Arsenal keep a clean sheet in this game. They made it really easy for Chelsea. in that game. They didn't create a lot of chances, and Arsenal so far still has the best defense in the league, almost arguably the best defense in Europe. Yes, they have an injury blow in Gabriel, who has. I would argue that he has been their best defender so far this season. I also think that it's also going to make Arteta, want to try out maybe a couple of different centre back pairing scenarios, which may not really be great for Arsenal defensive owners. But I think this should be a game that let's watch and see what partnership Arteta decides to use in this game, because they have a couple of tough fixtures also coming up after the game. They have the Bayern game and the Chelsea game. So I think a defensive partnership that he decides to use in this game, if it does work, we may see him continue to use that till Gabriel returns. So Raya is going to be starting for me. I have taken the opportunity to sell Gabriel since we know that he's going to be out for a couple of weeks, maybe a month to 2 months. We haven't gotten the final word from Arteta on how long he's going to be out for. So I have used my free transfer to take Gabriel out and bring in Konate instead of Van Dijk, which would have been the ideal replacement, just because I'm trying to free up funds for a second transfer that I'm planning to make. Most likely going to be in my midfield or in my defense. My second defender is Munoz away at Wolves. He has amassed over 40 points in his last 5 games so far. I'm really happy with owning Munoz right now. Crystal Palace defense has been relatively solid as well. Guehi also back in training, so that boosts the Crystal Palace defensive solidity in my opinion. Hopefully with this weak Wolves attacking side, Munoz can get something decent, attacking wise and also defensively in this game. Van de Ven is my third defender at the moment away at Arsenal. I'm just hoping he, produces one of those moments that I have been benching him for so far this season. Maybe picks up a goal. It's a North London derby. You never really know what to expect, right? You always expect that there are going to be goals from both ends. So maybe we see that happen. Maybe Van de Ven picks up a couple of points from maybe a goal or an assist. I don't really see Tottenham keeping a clean sheet in this game. So hoping for an attacking return from Van de Ven. He may or may not be my starting defender, just depending on whether I do decide to take a -4 for a defensive switch, right? And moving on to my midfield, I have Enzo Fernandez, who has been deemed fit to start in Gameweek 12 by Maresca in his pre-match conference. So I'm going to be starting him as my first midfielder away at Burnley. Saka is going to be my second midfielder. Has a really decent record in these North London derby games. He's also going to be my vice captain in this game week. I think Saka may, just continue this decent form he's been on. He scored for England over the international break. Got a goal in the game against Sunderland before the international break. I hope he continues on this trajectory and gets something in the game against Tottenham as well. Semenyo is my third midfielder home to West Ham. Now, Iraola has mentioned that it's going to be a late call on whether Semenyo gets to start that game or even gets involved. But I think it's one I'm willing to risk, seeing the opponent and his terrific record at home this season so far. You just can't put behind the 18-point haul he delivered against Fulham. And if he does start this game, I think it's a game that he could possibly get a really decent return from. So I'm going to take the risk and start him in my team. One I could also be looking at, if I do decide to move a midfielder on, because I have freed up funds, I have about 1.1 million free in my bank. I could go to Mbeumo, which is the popular transfer option right now. I could also go for a punt and bring in the likes of someone like Doku or even Cunha, seeing that Sesko is out for quite a while, and Cunha is not going to be involved in the AFCON. So he is a really decent option in my opinion if you're looking for a Man U attacker, right? And yeah, my fourth midfielder is Ndiaye away at Manchester United. He's just a really decent asset in my opinion to have. Nailed on penalties, nailed on minutes as well. So I don't mind owning him at the moment. Up top, I have Mateta away at Wolves. Has been on really great form. I think he's the second best attacker currently in the game, right after Haaland. Also, probably has the third highest number of goals after Haaland and Thiago currently in the game. So I'm going to be starting him as my first attacker. Waterman is my second at home to Manchester City. With Osula injured, Wisa still injured, I think Waterman gets the nod to start up front in the game against Manchester City over the weekend. Let's see if he's able to get back to goal scoring form. We saw him get 2 goals for Germany in the international the international break. So hopefully he can bring that goal scoring form back to the Premier League. Haaland is my last attacker and also my captain. Not such a great record against Newcastle, but with the run of form he is on currently, you just can't go against him with the captaincy, in my opinion. So my captain armband is going to be on him. I also think Mateta gets a really great shout for captaincy going into this week, and also looking at the opponent that he's going to be facing in game week 12. So I don't really think it's a bad option if you do decide you want to go differential and put the armband on Mateta. I do think it's also worth the risk. If you're, also feeling a little bit riskier than the Mateta captain, you could also go Saka. I think he has a great record. I think he should get something in that game against Tottenham. They're at home. Arsenal are really, really great when they play at home. So, yeah, captaincy options for me this week: Saka, Haaland, Mateta. If you still own Salah, a really great one to also look at. Ekitike, also a really great shout. I think he starts up top. Also picked up his first goal for France over the international break. So I think these assets are really great shouts for captaincy this week. You could also look towards the likes of João Pedro, Enzo Fernandez, if you're looking for differential picks for your captains. But like I said, I'm sticking with Erling Haaland as my captain. My vice captain is on Bukayo Saka, and I don't see myself changing that going into the game week. On my bench, I have Dubravka, who is hosting Chelsea. Reinders is going to be away at Newcastle. I think Reinders gets a start in this game. Whether or not he returns is going to be seen, because I don't know. He didn't get the start against Liverpool. He didn't get minutes at all, but he played really, really well for Netherlands over the break. But that's not where we want his points to do. So he got a goal for Netherlands, struck the crossbar about twice in that game. I think he got a goal and assist in that game actually. Hopefully he can bring some of that international break form back to the Manchester City shirt and produce some points for the remaining managers that still have him, right? I also have Gudmundsson as second defender on my bench, hosting Aston Villa, and Tosin as my last defender. So this is what my team looks like going into game week 12. I'm honestly really, really pleased. I think if I do also decide to go defensive for a defender, right, aside from the Konate pick that I have already made, I may just decide to get Senesi. Bournemouth have a great next 5 fixtures in my opinion. I think they play 3 home games in their next 5. And I do like the DEFCON appeal that Senesi has. I've missed out on that for the majority of the season, so I would like to get in on that, point accumulation train. So yeah, Senesi is one I may look at, and I will be looking at taking Tosin out to bring in Senesi if I do decide that I want to make a defensive substitution or a transfer rather. I don't like the idea of moving Semenyo on. I do like the idea of Mbeumo, and I'm also looking out for the whole most transferred out, most transferred in player jinx, right? But yeah, this is what my team is looking like going into the game week. These are a couple of transfer thoughts and ideas, plans that I have as we approach the deadline. So if you have enjoyed this video, please leave a like, share, subscribe. If you have any questions, do well to leave them in the comment section. I will get back to them as soon as I can. And as always, see you in the next FPL video.